aside from war and economic crunch, whatever we all know again that is ravaging the world is the menace of drug abuse and, of course, illicit drug trafficking. This ugly trend cuts across all ages, as young, old, and the middle class, middle age, irrespective of their class or status, are entangled in the web of drug abuse and, of course, illicit drug trafficking. And on 26th of June every year is the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. This year's theme was People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strengthen Prevention. Well, we all see it in different quarters that Nigeria faces an epidemic of this ugly trend. Today on the program, this is what we're going to talk about. My name is Adebimpe Akindele, and of course I have with me gentlemen who will be discussing this with me. Nigeria war against drug abuse or illicit drug trafficking, or win or lose. Well, let's see how it goes on the program today. I have with me the Commander, National Drugs Law Enforcement Agency, Ondo State, Kayode Mumuni Raji. Good to have you joining me.
Thank you very much.
I would have liked to say either Mr. Commander or...
Yes, Commander.
Okay.
Thank
you. And of course I have the State Representative, Students for Sensible Drug Policy, that's SSDP, Nigeria, Zaid Ibrahim. Did I get that pronunciation of your name?
Sahid Ibrahim.
Is it Said or Zaid?
Yeah, it's because you have a Zahid here. Mine is Sahid.
All right. So, you know, you can never be sure which is which. I know that there's Zaid and I know there's Said.
Yeah, they both mean the same actually.
Good to have you joining me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We all saw in the intro there that Nigeria faces an epidemic of this trend, drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking. Is that right? Let me start with you.
Yeah, definitely, because when you look at, let's look at the society generally. What do you see around? We're having this discussion. Somebody said, "Sir, in the next 5 years, I think we'll have a lot of mentally deranged youth walking around the streets." You know, when you check among taxi drivers, Okada riders, even our young people, those that are either influential or not influential, you notice that there are trends of drug abuse and substance abuse among them, even though that there are varying degrees among them and types and strategies by which they abuse them. So it's a social menace. So if you see it as a menace, then definitely we have to talk about it as a kind of public health challenge in Nigeria, and it's not just in Nigeria; it's everywhere, almost everywhere. So it is a situation that we find ourselves in, and that's why the theme for this year has to do with prevention. So instead of talking about arresting people, talking about how to curb this particular thing among them, so let's prevent people from getting into that particular act, which is drug and substance abuse. So it's a big menace for us.
Commander, do you agree with what Zaid just said now?
Yes, I totally agree. It's a menace, and is getting to an epidemic proportion. You see, I always tell people, if we approach this issue of drugs the way we approached HIV, the way we approached the Ebola, and the way we approached the Corona 2019 or whatever, we wouldn't have been where we are today. Drug issue was taken as if, well, it doesn't concern me. My children are not into drugs, so I'm okay. Drugs has no geographical boundary. It knows no class. It affects everybody. As a matter of fact, in one of the lectures I gave some time ago in Owerri, a long time ago, I told them that the issue of drugs is more dangerous than HIV. Because HIV, you cannot contract it if you follow the rules. You can even sleep on the same bed with an HIV patient. You can eat together with an HIV patient. You can hug an HIV patient. But drugs, even if you are not into drugs, you are also a victim. Because those who are into drugs will make you a victim. The kidnappers today, the armed robbers today, the rapists, all manners of crime, they are into drugs. And they affect innocent citizens. So drugs concern all of us. And so it is not just a menace is an epidemic. And I want to add to what he just said by saying that the earlier the government declare a state of emergency in that sector, the better it will be for the country.
Okay, now when people talk about drug abuse or maybe illicit drug trafficking, a lot of people watch movies from maybe let me say, is it North America now or South America, where you talk about Brazil, you talk about Mexico, and all the rest. We see all these things, you see drug lords, even in Italy, and it has really, really come to this country to stay. A lot of people don't know what drug abuse means, or illicit drug trafficking. Let's hear what that means from you.
Yeah, drug itself is any chemical substance,
okay,
which when taken, interact or modify the body metabolism or system. Any chemical substance which when taken, either interact or modify the body metabolism. That is drug on its own. So in this case, when we are talking about drug now, when we mention drug, we are using it interchangeably with hard drugs. Of course, in drugs generally, you have two classes of drugs. You have the hard drugs and you have the social drugs. The hard drugs are those that will arrest people. Cigarettes, they are social drugs. Something like alcohol, they are social drugs. If you follow the definition I gave of drugs, you agree with me that these social drugs interact or modify the body metabolism. So these are social drugs. We don't arrest them for taking them, particularly like alcohol and all that, but we advise them, including the snuff. They are drugs. It has some effect. Of course, some have caffeine, including any product that has caffeine in it or nicotine. They are social drugs, but we don't arrest them. So now. Now, when we talk about drug, we are talking about hard drugs. We are not talking about the over-the-counter drugs that they use for healing and all that.
Let me come in there.
Okay.
Even when we talk about these medical drugs, they ask you, have you taken your medication?
Yes.
A lot of
exactly.
people go out to work and they're coming back tired, weary, and they go to buy paracetamol, Panadol, Panadol Extra. They combine everything, put multivite,
okay.
multivitamins, and they bring everything together and take at a go.
Yes.
I'm like, why? Paracetamol, Panadol, Novocaine, all of these are just the same thing,
exactly.
having different names. And we all know from research, even you cannot finish, your body cannot make use of the entire 2 tablets of paracetamol when you take. Not to talk of when you now take about 6, and we talk about liver disease,
yes.
we talk about kidney disease. Why is it that it's only the hard drugs that you prosecute people for? Because I know in other climes overseas, you can't
yes.
go anywhere without any doctor's
yes.
prescription to buy drugs.
Drug can be abused when, one, it was not medically recommended, but when it was, even if it was recommended, it was not taken in the dose recommended. The scenario you painted now, of course, depicts a clearly abusive situation of drugs. Now, coming to your question of why we don't arrest
That
them,
in itself is killing.
it's killing.
Yeah.
It's killing. It has killed. Talking about the legal drugs, and you take them in doses not recommended, or it was not recommended for you, but because you had malaria some time ago, this is what the doctor asked you to take. Your twin brother too had malaria today, and you say take this. It is drug abuse. Now, but coming to your question of why we don't arrest them, we have our mandate. NDLA was established to combat illicit drugs,
Okay.
whereas NAFDAC was established to combat licit drugs.
Okay.
And people tend to think that NDLA and NAFDAC are the same. Of course, it's no surprise that most times when I go for occasions, people call me, they say, even from my hometown, they say I'm from NAFDAC. Now, NAFDAC is for any, of course, from the name, National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control. So any food or any drug, they are the one that, and it is controlled, they are in charge. But we are talking about listed drugs, the legal drugs. So the paracetamol you are talking about, the extra and all that are listed drugs, they are legal drugs. So they are in charge of that. Whereas we are in charge of the illegal drugs, the one you are not even supposed to take at all. The tramadol, the codeine, the cannabis sativa, the heroin and all that. So that is the difference. And so we cannot arrest somebody for taking legal drugs, but NAFDAC can.
Okay.
If they take it in in a dose not recommended, but how many people, who is going to report that to you? That is the question.
Mr. Ibrahim, let me come to you. You represent a youth angle of this menace we're talking about. What's the level to which youths or students are involved in drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking?
Okay, let me just put a very a little picture now.
Okay.
I think there was a time I wanted to buy Tiger Nut. There was Tiger Nut, which is harmless. So I think that day I had a little bit of delay for like 5 minutes, and before getting to where I wanted to buy, and this anti-scorpion, anti-something from the all the special unit in the Nigerian police. So they kind of busted that particular place and arrested everybody there. I would have been arrested that day. And almost everyone there, I'm not sure there was anyone that is above 40 there. So to tell you the demographics of people that you find within this particular thing. If you go to secondary school, we've had programs with them, and you ask all these secondary school students, even primary, to name illicit drugs for you. Just give them a paper. They will name several drugs that you've not had before. So those are pointers. We had a program in a public school here, and the counselor, the guidance and counselor was saying that some of the things that this student mentioned, I'm not sure I've heard them before. So that's where the situation is. Because you are fixated on a particular angle, that you have a kind of a mono view about drug abuse, believing that, oh, these guys are young, so they may not really know anything about it. But they have a lot. He mentioned media the other time. Look at our media. Now there's this kind of social acceptance for drug now and drug abuse. When you have a group of 5 men, even 3, young people, and you are different, that you don't smoke or you don't drink, and how do they look at you? You know, from there you understand
You are the one under the stigma then.
Yes, so they look at you that something like, you are not a man. Currently you are not smoking, you are not doing anything, so you are not a man. So you get to a point that you feel pressure to feel like, okay, fine, let me feel among. So these are pointers to let you know that this thing is prevalent. And when you look at our media these days, I remember then when we used to watch Alade Arun videos, and somebody wanted to smoke in a movie set. They don't actually smoke. They can just put a cigarette in their mouth and feel like maybe they were actually smoking. But now what do you see? It's all out. People smoke, even in videos, musical videos.
Make it real.
So it's real. You find everything there. In fact, some of the songs, the content of the song, they also promote some of these drugs, which we can't be singing here because some of them are kind of banned by the NBC rather. So these are responsibility, because you can only, they used to say that he who will pay for drink doesn't get drunk, because you know you're the one paying. But for these young people, you see them a lot, and it will surprise you that you find secondary school students, particularly that NEPA side, you find secondary school students there. It's not the only place actually, because there are other places. Then you find them there, and nobody arrests them.
Okay, I'm coming back to you. I'm going to when Ebola came,
Yes.
when bird flu came, or COVID came, that people rose up to fight this. Would you agree to me, I mean, my point, if I said that drug abuse cuts across status and, you know, it's not about youth alone. It cuts across people in the high places, and if people like that are involved, do you think this fight can be won?
Yes, you are very correct. You are very, very correct. Of course, as I've said, it knows no geographical boundary or status. It cuts across, no age limit. And that is one of the problems we are facing. I just hope and pray that we are not heading into the Mexican way or the Latin American way, where we have our leaders firmly entrenched in the web of drugs. Recall that not long ago, I think last year or thereabout, a governor advocated for drug testing, or whosoever wants to put him or herself up for elected positions. I think we need to come out clean and show leaders by example. Drug cut across everybody. We have medical doctors taking drugs. But I have to confess here, and publicly too, that the National Assembly have been giving us their utmost cooperation. Though it's not enough at all. But they are actually in arms with us. And with them, we are sure we can move mountains. Coming to status or age, we have lecturers taking drugs. We have old men, 60, 70, 80, taking drugs, and we have arrested a quite number of them. We even have the physically challenged. So it's not just a matter of those that have the ability, even the physically challenged. Not just taking, but also selling. So it cut across. And that is where we all need to put all our hands on the deck. If you will permit me, the last speaker mentioned something about drug activities in certain area, NEPA precisely. I really don't know that place you are talking about. I'm not sure of where you are talking about, but if it's the NEPA place I know, coming from the market, facing Alagbaka, by your right, close to the roundabout, I want to assure you that we have dismantled that place. Yes, we see once in a while some youth still gathering, but from time to time, because there are shops everywhere. But that place used to be a thriving place. I don't want to mention name now.
Let's narrow it down to Ondo State now, because I know that a lot of activities are happening even within government cycle. Like the Ondo State House of Assembly pledged to support the fight against drug abuse and illicit trafficking of drugs. The Commissioner for Health, Banji Ajaka, came out to raise alarm on the level at which this menace is spreading, you know, the conflagration of it in Ondo State. And of course, Sports Writers Association also did something to, promote drug-free lifestyle among athletes some time ago. With all this coming up in Ondo State, are we losing the fight or winning against drug abuse?
Yeah, to win, the fight is not about winning or losing. That's our own perspective. It depends on how you're looking at it. If you look at it as a crime, then you want to talk about whether you are winning or losing. If you look at it as a public health challenge, and we are talking about all these pointers, then...
You don't see it as a crime to traffic drugs?
No. we have abuse, we have trafficking. So we shouldn't mix the two together, even though we talk about the two together. It mentions something that there are older people who also take drugs. But you want to ask, for what? That's the question. Why are you taking this thing? I have a friend that started with I think it was this chronic disease, and she has to use certain drugs, especially all these ones that they use for pain reliever. So it got to a point that there's a certain amount of money that you have to pay for you to get out of that particular chronic disease. So the only solution she has is to use that a pain reliever. So it got to a point that anytime the pain comes, so she had to take that pain reliever. Now she had to it got to a point from use to misuse, then to abuse. So outside that, she developed another disease within that particular disease that she's trying to manage. If you find that particular person with a particular drug, do you arrest that person? Has the person committed a crime?
Look at it from the angle of, look at that question I asked you from the angle of illicit drug trafficking.
That is what I'm saying, that we can't mix trafficking with abuse.
Okay, now, answer that one.
Okay.
Illicit drug trafficking.
So illicit drug trafficking, when it comes to the war,
from government circle,
the NDLEA, we have to give it to them, because I've seen a lot of arrests, especially in Ombese or War area, then Akoko, because I work in the media, so we see this news. Then we see those that are being done outside on those states, especially cocaine, especially in Lagos, where there will be a particular warehouse that is dedicated to drug trafficking. So on that particular area, we can say, yeah, we are winning, but we can't really say we have won when we still have a lot of people still into this particular business. So it has to do with the aggregation of people that are into the business and the aggregation of people that we are able to apprehend and punish. So with that, if we have the data, then we can talk about either winning or losing. That's why I'm looking at it as a public health challenge when it comes to the abuse aspect of it. If we have a large number of young people going into the abuse aspect of it, then we are not winning the war. Initially, when the war started, that's why the war means incarceration. When you want to look at it, if I say there's a war against crime, then you shouldn't go near it. Now, that was the first step, the police, even the NDLEA, that was there. It got to a point that we started this stakeholder engagement. If you want to curb drug abuse, the menace in our society, it has to be multi-layer stakeholders meeting together to, formalize measures and mechanisms to curb this thing. That's why we have this engagement. We've interacted on several fora, which is also fine. So if you want to do that, then you have to identify the different factors that bring people into this. Then how do we tackle each of the factors? We have social factors, we have health factors. We talk about mental health.
Economic factors.
Yes. We talk about mental health.
Unemployment.
Mental health in Nigeria is growing, especially among men. People look at some of these things and feel like, what else can I do? Because I take alcohol doesn't mean I'm abusing it. That's why we talk about the knowledge. That's the KNO now. No drug abuse, NO drug abuse, the no. Then you have to distinguish between the two so that you know what you are doing exactly. So if you have the right knowledge about this thing, that if I'm taking tramadol, I was into sports and tramadol was recommended for me by the doctor. Imagine walking along it and I have it with me. Maybe after this particular meal I have to take it, and I got arrested. I'm having tramadol. Have I committed any crime?
We'll come back to what you're saying.
I think we should mix.
I'll come back to you. We're going to have a break now. The program is Viewpoint on Osrc TV, and we are talking about drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking. We'll be right back with details. Stay with us. The program is Viewpoint on Osrc TV, and we've been talking about drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking. If you just joined us, I have two gentlemen with me discussing the program. The NDLEA commander in Ondo State, that's Commander Kayode Mumuni Raji, and I have the state representative, Students for Sensible Drug Policy in Nigeria. I have Mr. Said Ibrahim. Yes. So that's what we've been talking about, and he just made a point on the difference he felt between people who commit drug abuse or illicit drug trafficking, and I'm going to ask you that, Commander Raji, how do you see what he said?
Well, we don't need to romance with words. All are crimes.
Okay.
All are crimes, especially, as I've said, when it's not medically recommended. He mentioned of a case of a player who his coach asked him to take tramadol. I want to tell you that if a coach asks you to take tramadol, that coach is also committing an offense. In fact, you just mentioned something that Swan is doing. I paid the course call to Swan, and I extended our hands of a partnership to them, that they should also join us. We want to, because this is very rampant among footballers. We know what happened to Maradona. We know what happened to Sonny Liston, Marian Jones, and so many very wonderful athletes. Drug killed them prematurely. And of course, we know what happened to
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Yes, Ben Johnson. We know what happened to a player as clean as Mohamed Ali, a boxer, or a player as clean as Pele. We know what happened to him. They live very fulfilled life. So that is why we engage Swan to also help us talk to them. And we are also going to meet with the Commissioner for Sports, so that at any point in time, randomly, we'll go to their camp with their approval to do a random test for the players without them knowing, without giving them pre-information. But I assure them that it is not going to be punitive. Okay. When the player tests positive, we are not going to arrest him. We are just going to rally around, cancel, and make sure he quits such. And any of the state contingents, maybe athletes, weightlifters, and all that. Yes, coming to what you ask.
Okay.
Tramadol, no coach has the right to do so. And again, it is only a medical doctor that can do so. And it's only for a very few period. You just 5 days.
I know tramadol is a very strong
because it's very addictive.
Yeah.
All drugs have medical value, including cocaine. All drugs, they use cocaine to perform surgery, but very, very difficult surgery. And the amount they need is less than 0.00001. Very, very minute.
Let's come to Ondo State now, because I want us to talk about what are the scenarios.
Yes.
There are bodies involved in the care of, based on this year's theme now, which is people first, stop stigma and discrimination, strengthen prevention. What is the NDLEA doing to enforce that? Because we can't deal with victims or with criminals, those who are involved in this menace alone. We need to do or deal with the aftermath of these things, whoever, the sufferers, So let's talk about, do you have an idea of what is going on? Bodies that, I'll come back to you. Do you have an idea of what is going on? Bodies that are involved in rehabilitation of sufferers. How far can we go to that in Ondo State?
Okay, as I mentioned, it will take a multi-layer stakeholder approach to tackle it. We can't even leave it to NDLEA. We are SSDP. I got to meet the Swan chairman today, and he mentioned that you have a program on Friday at the stadium. We also have a program at the stadium with a section of the athletes on Wednesday, which we are going to. I told him on Friday, definitely I might be there if I don't have any other thing, any other engagement, because we can't leave this thing to either Swan or NDLEA. We have YALI Ondo State, that's Young African Leaders Initiative, also sensitizing people. You have Kids and Teens Resource Center working with young people. If you go to their offices there, you meet some of these young people there. You have Youth Rights doing something. You have a lot of organizations that are also working together, because you can't say, oh, this organization, drug abuse is not my line, I'm dealing with health. Don't forget that drug abuse can lead to health complications, and you still have to come. If you're into mental health, if you're into social
it can be fatal, because drug abuse, you can have an overdose.
Definitely, it can lead to anything. So it is everybody, all of us together. You also have youth groups that are not even into drug campaign or anything. You have to also bring them in, because many of their members are also into this. You mentioned athletes too. Athletes, their own is to compete and win laurels and everything. But you have to bring them in, the coaches, if you want to win the war against drug abuse in those states. So a lot of activities are going on, but we still need more. If all of us can speak together, if all of us can work together to identify these different strategies and we work with them, I think it's easier. That discrimination aspect of it is what we are trying to bring down. Because there is a case we are currently managing. It's like a family case. Because we notice that in different families and community, we have 1 or 2 very serious cases that you have to manage. This person has been arrested several times. This guy is not giving up. It got to a point that we have to start tricking him. That what can we do? Let's claim that maybe he has this particular disease. So with that, maybe he can leave this particular drug, because the guy is actually into this Loud and Colorado, very strong brand of marijuana. So it has taken toll on him for over 10 years now. So to leave it, it's finding it difficult. So we have to also discuss. In fact, he has been to NDLA office, trying to work with them, with the family, so that they can liberate it. Currently, is having a kind of a rehabilitation program, therapy, which is proving to be successful, because as far as I know, it's not taking it and it's living well. Which means that if we can have that kind of approach together, the family, the security agents that are in charge, the society, without stigmatizing it, I think a lot of them we have to.
I know that Commander Raji is itching to speak, but I'd actually like you to speak about illicit drug trafficking, because one person cannot be involved.
I will.
It has a chain.
Yes, of course.
So
let's
deal with
before
that.
then, please, he has mentioned this program may not be now may not be enough. Will definitely not be enough for this program, because I really didn't have enough time to talk on some of the things he has raised. They are all very germane, but just as a matter of correction, this year's theme is actually, the evidence is clear. Invest in prevention. The one you mentioned was last year's theme. Of course, they are similar. They are all preventive.
Yeah, the prevention.
But stricto sensu is, the evidence is clear. Invest in prevention. Now, but having said that, yes, we have a rehabilitation center, a makeshift.
I want you to talk about chains, because time is no longer on our side. I need you to talk about how to bust that syndicate, the chain, the illegal drug trafficking syndicate. How do we go about that?
How to bust it?
Yeah.
Well, you see, it's a chain. The person taking it does not know the person that brought it to him. The person that brought it to the courier does not know how that person got it, and so on and so forth, up to the last link. In fact, the last link and the penultimate link does not know. The penultimate link does not even know the house of the last link. So it's a very serious situation. Very, very serious. It's not just here. And that is why in some other countries, even more advanced than us in terms of technology and investigative mechanisms, what they do is, we saw it with you, we're going to arrest you. Because the person, that the courier, does not know even who gave him. He doesn't know the house. He doesn't have he has his number, but the number is going to be used for a particular purpose. As soon as he finishes with that transaction, he cut it.
You've not talked about the situation whereby someone travels.
Yes, I will.
And they use that person's luggage to traffic.
So the essence is that just be careful. When you travel, of course, some people will tell you that they don't have enough kilos. Please, I already have 20 kg, and I can't carry more. Or I have, just let me put this in your back.
That's stupidity.
That is what they do, and most of them fall for it. In fact, some of them fall for it because they want to charge money. They charge money to get, and in the process, they get themselves in trouble. Yeah. So what we just advise people is that don't take anything from anybody you don't know. And again, if you travel, if you come to Nigeria and you are traveling back to your base, whatever they give you, the one that you cannot fully open to know the content, don't collect. Because it has happened, I don't cite any examples on the air, but it has happened and it's landed a lot of people in jail. So the way to cut the chain, very difficult to get, very difficult. So the best thing to do is avoid it.
So are you, when you are saying that the chain is very difficult to bust, are we saying that we can't do nothing about it? It's just going to continue like that?
No, we are doing. Even right now we are doing.
Can we win this battle?
Yes, we can win. In fact, we are winning. That was why I wanted to respond. We are winning. I want to, particularly in those states, we are winning. Okay, when most of the drug, because the problem we have in Ondo State is not about courier. It's not about trafficking per se, except by land. But the problem we have, no, it's not even about trafficking, it's about transportation, maybe from here to where they're going to sell. The problem we have is more of cannabis. I'm not saying that we don't have others, but it's more major of cannabis. And that problem is more of plantation. So, and by the grace of God, most of the planters have been driven out. I'm not just saying this on here to get credit. You can confirm. Most of them have gone to Ekiti. And they say it, that Ondo is tough for them. Are
you saying that NDLEA in Ondo State is phasing out those who plant? Is it cannabis or marijuana?
Yes.
But there was a time that the planting was encouraged in the state.
Yes, well, I don't know whether it's something I can talk on the air.
Okay.
The agency itself was against it. Okay. It was
that's because of the medicinal value.
Yes, but I told the former governor that there's nothing like medicinal. There's nothing like medicinal cannabis. Cannabis is cannabis. Okay. Cannabis is cannabis. The essence.
So how do we get hold of drugs that are made with? Because I know a lot of drugs that are used for very, very sick people who have these traces of cannabis, marijuana, like Fortwin, which you can get addicted to if you are in very serious pain. You get to have it because maybe a little bit of cocaine is in it.
There is no drug that does not have value.
What's the way out for Ondo State?
The way out is for all of us to put our hands on deck and ensure, particularly from the government, and ensure that because we should not see this cannabis as an income earner. The moment we see it as an income earner, then we are gone. If you are talking about crime, one of the features of crime is that it's of high profitability. That is one of the features. So if you are talking about it brings money, and you want to go into it, then we are going to run ourselves into a cul-de-sac. Yes, it brings money. But what does it bring with the money? Crime, instability, insecurity, and so on and so forth. So we have to jettison the so-called money it brings and focus on our security as a people. So the way out is for all hands to be on deck, for everybody to partner with NDLEA to ensure that we have a drug-free state. Because without a drug-free state, you cannot have a prosperous state.
Do you agree with him?
Yeah, I cannot disagree with him because, like I said earlier, we can't leave NDLEA to the fight alone. It has to be all of us coming together to support them. And I noted that initially it used to be outright war. There was nothing like a rehabilitation center, but I am glad that they have one. It's something that we've seen before. So when he said they have a rehabilitation center, it's a very good one because it's not everybody that you arrest that you want to incarcerate. How many people are we going to put behind bars? But by the time they are able to arrest and rehabilitate them, it's a plus to them. So that when people even see NDLEA officers, they are not running a scatter. Then that's where the discrimination aspect of it is. So we know that we want to help. You're being helped. But the aspect we still look at is that we need more of these rehabilitation centers. How many of these people that are not mentally okay can access some of these centers? If everybody knows, those say that have a mental challenge or drug abuse challenge has to go to I mean, they have to go to NDLEA Rehabilitation Center. I'm not sure the place will not be around. So you understand? So we still need more of that. That will also help them. Because there's something about media coverage of some of these things. It has greater effect on people that are also watching all these things. It's just like suicide. When people look at the method that others are using, they may want to do the same thing. But when they see that, okay, this particular thing is working, they may want to come out for rehabilitation. There are a lot of people that actually want to come out for rehabilitation, but they are scared that what will you say, what will the society say? So these are the things we need to work on. We need to work on our curriculum, we need to work on teachers. Then, most importantly, we have an open drug market. You mentioned something that someone cannot go somewhere, maybe in the US to buy some drugs, but here, it's open. Anti-chemists will sell it to you, even though it is illicit. So if you can also curb that particular open drug market, it will also help.
Well, I know that you still want to talk more, Commander
Raji.
I've
not really said anything.
You've really spoken. You've spoken. Your final word in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. But then, I want to urge all and sundry to please partner with NDLEA, especially the state government, because that is the only way we can speak with one voice. We have excellent facilities, I must tell you. We have excellent counselors who can even take care of this, who run our rehabilitation center. But it's unfortunate that most of the people that come to our rehabilitation centers are from Lagos, from Benin, from Imo State, I tell you.
Commander Raji, you know this fight, war against drug abuse and drug trafficking is an ongoing. So definitely we're still going to call you to come on the show so that we can talk about it. For the past 1 hour, you've been watching Viewpoint on Osrc TV, and the topic has been drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking, warring against it in Nigeria and in Ondo State. My guests have been the Commander NDLEA Ondo State Commander Kayode Mumuni Raji, and of course the SSDP representative in Nigeria, Said, in Ondo State, Said Ibrahim. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Of course, it's an ongoing thing, and we still want you to come and talk on the show. So don't be disappointed, Commander Raji. Thank you for watching the program. That's our bit for today. My name is Adebikbe Akindele. See you next week.